Good morrow to everybody. This is a really important video. If you want to try and save anybody, you may need to make sure that they see this one. What we're looking at today is ignorance. Ignorance, willful ignorance, stupidity, and people who are cretins. We're all God's creatures, but obviously some creatures are a little bit more intelligent than others. And that's what raises you above this creature status, right? There's a lot of very clever people out there. There's a lot of very indoctrinated, well-educated, but cretinous people out there. Because it's not about education. A lot of the education system is indoctrinated for a reason. It's to keep you from the truth, all right? Now, willful ignorance is basically the preserve of a cretin, right? Because everybody has eyes. You've all been taught how to read. There's no excuse for not understanding what I'm actually saying, because I am pointing people in the right direction. So it's up to you to do your own research. I mean, anybody says that's not the case. I mean, I've got a good friend in Gateshead, Lee Garrett, left school without any qualifications at all. He knows more about 5G than most people out there, right? It's not about... you've got to self-educate yourself, because a teacher's not going to tell you, because they don't know. Nobody's told them, and they just regurgitate the state narrative garbage, because you've been lied to. You have been lied to for quite a number of years. Everything you thought was true is, in fact, a fabricated nonsense. CO2, for instance. I was pondering this and wondering why they used the CO2 narrative. Why didn't they just say it was the heat coming out the tailpipe out your heating or something like that? Would have made a little bit more scientific sense. But CO2, 0.04 in air, and 10% of that is 10% of that is man-made. It's got nothing to do with climate change. Geoweapons, geoengineering is what causes climate change. Windmills and all these other, spraying in the air, etc., and HAARP. Some of the geoweapons that you can go and look for, they're there if somebody wants to ask. So you see, there's a sort of ignorance going around, which is acceptable, but there's willful ignorance. I get people who, they like to get into a conversation, make comments about things they know nothing about, and when you present them with the actual evidence, they go, I don't want to see that. That's very cretinous. That's what a cretin would do, and that's what we see. We see cretins all over who don't want to accept the reality of what's actually going on today. But this is really serious, because if you're a cretin, then unfortunately, like I said, ignorance and willful ignorance will kill today, right? So we've got the CO2 scam, we had the WMD, the BBC lied on a number of occasions, people still believe them. I was always concerned about the information that they put out, because it's like the government website that says that they've downgraded this and that the virus isn't infectious. Well, we know viruses aren't infectious anyway. That's just for a fool to believe, or a cretin. A cretin, really, because you only have to do your own research to show that the whole thing's a hoax. The corona hoax. So a corona is an electrical discharge from an electrical piece of equipment, namely a 5G mast. And I don't do coincidences. What I'm seeing here is a total fabricated hoax on the people. And we know that these radiation emissions cause flu, pneumonia type symptoms, etc. It's all there. It's all in the scientific documentary evidence. So, do people want to read the evidence and survive this? Or do they want to just carry on willfully ignorant and die? And take a lot of innocent people with them. Their children, people who just... take their children, their pets, the animals, and the rest of it with them because of their ignorance, their willful ignorance, their cretinous state. Because it's pretty obvious to me that, the state apparatus, the cabal who are orchestrating this, are making it pretty plain to everybody that it's a hoax. But we see people lining up and, being ridiculous and panicking about this whole hoax, which is absolutely bizarre. So what I want to say to people, I'm here to try and save as many people as possible, all right? we've got the evidence on the vaccines being toxic. You know, they've been given children vaccines. It's an assault. They're contaminated with inexplicable particulates, nano and micro particulates, metal particulates in particular, mixed with microwave radiation that will kill you. All right. Now, I'm not expecting people to know that, right? But I'm expecting people, as I've said before, do your own research. You know, I keep saying to people, do your research. That's what the internet's for. It's not there to, to tag people and send them daft little posts. It is for a bit of fun as well, obviously. But its main purpose is to educate. And the problem that the cabal have is you're starting to get educated. There's a significant number of people getting educated and educating themselves, because what you can't be educated is from indoctrinated fools, namely teachers, who basically they've been indoctrinated, and by a lot of academics who've also been indoctrinated, who really just don't know. They are cretins, by the way, and don't understand the science or the technicalities of a lot of things. Because a lot of them, I mean, I keep seeing scientists come out on the BBC talking about CO2. I mean, they're cretins. This is psychological warfare. And what they're trying to find out, right, who the idiots are and who the intelligent people are. Because unfortunately, the idiots, the cretins, the trolls, they're going to die. Believers, this is life and death situation as people are starting to work out, all right? Starting to work it out. Now, the government are basically taking the piss, because obviously on their website it actually states that this COVID's been downgraded. Now, we know that viruses can't be caught. We've got people buying masks. We've got people panicking, wearing gloves. Got this whole thing going on. And what they're really doing, they're just trying to find out who the cretins really are. And the reason for that, it's something a lot more sinister, right? Because, you see, you are tacitly agreeing to die. You are tacitly agreeing for them to commit genocide on you. By your cretinous state, that's what happens. Now, I know a lot of people who watch my videos have went beyond that cretinous state and are now getting themselves significantly informed on the information that they're receiving. The others, unfortunately, we can't save them. We can't save them all. Right? That's just impossible. We're not here to save everybody, but we're here to save all those that get informed and get involved. Now, I tell people to get involved with Save Us Now, all right? The reason for that, it's extremely important, because that shows who you are. The Save Us Now movement is all about justice and the rule of law. The fact that you're a member of it, right, puts you in that status. It also gives you political cover. Because what we're going to have to do, we're going to have to go on the offensive in relation to this. I mean, we did have people saying that offensive nature and the offensive tactics are incorrect. Well, unfortunately for them, they were wrong. Because offence is the best form of defence, without a doubt. I've known that for quite a number of years, and I don't need people to try and explain to me that that's not the case. And obviously what we've seen is a total takedown of the country, an economic terrorist attack, but it's basically psychological warfare. But the plan, you see, this is the most sinister part of it. The plan obviously is to commit mass genocide, right? But it's to commit mass genocide on the cretins, all right? That's what you've got to remember. This is to commit mass genocide. So what I'm going to say to people once again, get involved, prophesizing the word, get this out there, right? Because sharing it, and share it to all your loved ones. If they don't want to watch it, that's fine. We know what's going to happen to them. Unfortunately, like I said, we can't save them all, but we can save enough. We can save enough, all right? So that's the talk for today. It's an extremely serious talk. And like I said, if people want to get involved, want to send me questions, to validate, to get the science and the documentary evidence to prove what I'm saying is correct, that's fine. We accept all that. All right? So it is about time that people did wake up. And unfortunately, if they don't wake up, they're going to die. They're signing that death warrant. They are literally signing a legal contract for the cabal to commit genocide on them. And nobody can save them. We can try. It is our duty to try. That is the law. It's our duty to protect them and try and save them. But if they don't want to be saved, well, unfortunately, there's not a great deal we can do about that. the movement, political cover is necessary. All right, believers, it's very, very helpful. But it's also a sign. A member of Save Us Now shows that you have already left that cretinous state, right? And the cabal cannot harm you, right? Otherwise, universal forces will fall upon them, okay? That's why I'm still alive. I mean, I keep getting people call me and go, Mark, you're still alive. Yes, I am still alive, because they know if they try and harm me, right, and others who are party to this resistance, they've just crossed a barrier that they know they'll never return from, all right?